We live? All right, we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to yet another episode of the ARCA Racing Podcast. I'm your host, the man himself, Colby Evans, a.k.a. Starting Parker here. I know I'm wearing an IndyCar shirt, but I thought I'd go festive for tonight. Welcome, everyone, to tonight's show. We're reviewing this past weekend's ARCA West Series race at Sonoma and previewing this weekend's race, my home track. We are racing at my home track this weekend at Iowa Speedway. With the ARCA Main and East Division combo race. So, yeah, like I said, a lot to talk about today. We're going to be reviewing what was now a 2-week straight show for the West Series. They have a much-needed 1-month break, and the ARCA Main Series is back as well as the East Division. And I will also go into detail of what went wrong with my ARCA deal and why I will not be racing at Iowa this weekend. Despite my heaviest efforts, unfortunately, I will not be racing at Iowa this weekend. We will get into all of that as we get into the show. We'll go through my little intro, go through the beginning of every ARCA Racing podcast, and we will jump right into it. So I do apologize. I also am a little bit under the weather, so I might be drinking some water and I might be coughing a couple times, but I'm going to try to get through this the best I can for y'all. So you guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, Starting Parker on Twitter, for all live news and notes and ARCA tweets and the occasional dumb stuff you guys love. We just passed 5,700 followers, so I cannot thank you guys enough for the continued support, man. We are so close to 6,000 followers there. Like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell for notifications so you guys never miss a podcast when I go live. We are less than 200 subscribers away from 2,000, so I'd like to hit 2,000 subscribers before the season's over. So if you like what you see here, just hit that subscribe button, man. It would mean a lot. Super chats are open. If you'd like to financially support the show, you're more than welcome to. And, of course, your super chat will be read. And, of course, check out the Racing Experts for all NASCAR media-related promotions, as they're the official media partner of this podcast. So let's get right into it, shall we? Sonoma Raceway. Sonoma, not personally my favorite road course on the schedule. But first up, I will say is all 3 Sonoma races I felt like delivered this year. I felt like we were kind of hard on Sonoma last year. The West race wasn't the best. The Xfinity race just didn't really feel there. Neither was the Cup race. But all 3 races this previous weekend in Sonoma I felt like delivered. The ARCA West race was fun. Like I said, this race was always so prestigious. I felt like it was one of the biggest West races of the year just because of their Cup-affiliated date. They felt like more of like a Busch race since they were the only second series there. We had a big field for this race, the biggest field since 2019. We had a whopping 32 cars on the initial entry list. 31 showed up, the 88 team of Tanner Reif and the Naki Kluwer team. Or I'm not sure if they've split, maybe just be the Naki team. Unfortunately, they withdrew. They were not there. So only 31 cars were present for the race. Still a solid field nonetheless. I mean, yeah, it does suck to lose the 88 car. They were a full-time car. It is unclear, though, if they will be back for the remainder of the West Series season. We'll basically find out if they're on the entry list for the doubleheader at Irwindale next month. So we'll find that out then. Still, like I said, still a solid field nonetheless. We had some notable entries in the field. We had the 23, the Joe Ferree team. Sam Mayer from the Junior Motorsports Xfinity team was driving that car. And we had Cup driver Noah Gragson driving for a former team that he had driven for in the past, Rhett Jones, Mark Rhett's team. So good to have him in the field. Let's see here. We also had a couple of natives who come out who run this race only. People like Brian Comiskey, who else? Rod Nealand. Let's see here. Who else? Trying to look through the names right here. Rod Nealand and him. Dale Quarterly. Dale Quarterly loves coming over. Travis McCullough. He's a native around that area. And Ryan Philpott, of course, as well. So, yeah, we had a couple of different entries out there. Like I said, though, pretty solid field. Did not expect the 18 to dominate as well as they did last week. So I was kind of curious coming into this one, man. Would we see William Sawalich's domination from Portland this weekend in Sonoma? We did have a couple of more competitive cars, though, compared to last week's race at Portland. Like I said, you had the addition of Gragson. You had the addition of Mayer. We know Tyler Reif has been ultra competitive. Obviously, Brandon Jones. Forgot to mention Brandon Jones. He was in the race, the other Junior Motorsports Xfinity driver. And, of course, Sean Hingorani, who had issues last week and really couldn't contend. So, you did have a couple of more contenders in the field for this race. So maybe William wasn't going to win, but speed was clearly still there in that 18 car. In the lone practice, we'll start off with the practice results here. William Sawalich, it looks like did run a practice lap, although for some reason I don't see Sam Mayer on the list. Racing Reference, man, has been so weird lately. So I think Sam Mayer was actually fastest in practice. I'm not sure. But they have William Sawalich listed as fastest in practice, so I'm not sure if that was accurate. 31 cars did take a lap. Obviously, the 0 of Tony Huffman, the planned start and park entry out of the Hillis team. I didn't expect him to make a full lap. I'm not sure if he even did, but he is required to at least make one sort of lap by ARCA to get credit. Going into qualifying, Sam Mayer won the pole. In my opinion, was a shocker, but you can definitely tell just how far ahead these cars were. Sam Mayer was 0.2 ahead of second place and almost a full second ahead of third place. The top two were 0.7 faster than third. So, wow. I mean, it's just, is that the drivers? Is that the equipment? I don't know, but that is just impressive to be 0.7 faster than third place on a road course. I mean, we've seen that in Maine ARCA before where, there's a couple of cars who are like a second faster than the field, sure. But you also have seen, you've also seen before that, some of these cars, 0.7 on a road course, that's a lot. That is a lot on a road course, man. So to be that much faster really showed you just how good those cars were. And I mean, it's no shocker. Sam Mayer, he's an accomplished road racer himself. He's racing the Trans Am series, for a while, very accomplished road racer. So it's like, it ain't a shocker. It ain't a shocker that he's this good. So, and you put him in obviously a GMS helped prepped vehicle. Joe Ferre's team has a lot of GMS support. They run the number 23. They run the GMS font. They run the Spencer Clark tribute on the car. So obviously this car has a lot of special prep in it. Other notables, like I said, William Sawalich was second. Brandon Jones was third. The Venturini lineup for this week, Brent Cruz was swapped into the 15. Gio Ruggiero and Isabella Robusto returned in their respective vehicles. Noah Gragson ended up sixth. Full-time, again, sorry, I apologize, guys. I'm not feeling the best. Full-time West Series drivers, Trevor Huddleston, Jack Wood were 7th and 8th. Tyler Reif was 10th. Sean Hangarani all the way down in 12th. And I'll admit, Marco Andretti down in 13th was a shocker. And I'm just starting to wonder, man, is it really him or is the Bruce Cook equipment just not really doing it for Marco? Because I feel like Marco is a lot better than the equipment that he is running, personally, in my personal opinion. Dale Quarterly down in 15th. Todd Souza down in 18th was kind of a shocker, too. Only 25 of the 31 cars took a registered lap time. Not really sure why. Takuma Koga, Eric Johnson Jr., Dave Smith, Tony Huffman, Travis McCullough, and Tim Spurgeon were the cars that did not make a qualifying attempt. We got Going Green around 5 o'clock, my time at least. I'm not sure what time you guys watched it. This, again, one of the few West Series races or few non-main series ARCA races that I really wish could have gotten an actual TV slot. I'm probably quite a few people would have tuned into this one. It's a fun race, like I said. So they got going. And obviously the 23 and the 18 pull out to a huge lead. I mean, it's not shocker. At the end of the first lap, though, actually had some trouble on the pace laps. The start and park entry out of Bobby Hillis's team, the 0 of Tony Huffman, actually spun. I don't know. How do you're starting park and you spin on the pace laps? That's rough. Thank God he didn't hit anything. Bobby probably would have been pissed, but he pulled off. He did his job. Obviously the 0 is a planned start and park entry. It's been like that all year. I think the car has thoroughly completed probably one lap. Within the first lap, though, things went to trouble for the 42 of Brandon Jones. Literally, I don't know if it was exactly the first lap or one of the first few laps of the race. Got severe left rear damage and basically had a parachute on his car. And I think they actually had to come to pit road. I think he actually came to pit road to fix the damage because the tire was rubbing that badly. Poor Nick Janitis. We documented his issues from Portland where he spun about 15,000 times. Well, he had about 4 or 5 more off-track excursions in this race and even damaged up the car pretty heavily, but we'll get to that in a second. So Sam Mayer got the early jump on William Sawalich, but William was not letting him get away, getting the lead on lap 3 at the line. Mayer would take it back, and then William would reclaim the lead. Sorry about that. Would reclaim the lead a lap later. So really good racing at the front. Although William Sawalich was fast, it was clear that he had competition this week. The 23 of Sam Mayer, the 15 of Brent Cruz, and the 30 of Noah Gragson. They definitely had competition out there. But the first caution came for debris on lap 6. There really was no reported debris. I remember listening to Charlie Crawl. He just said debris. We did see the 3 car, though, of Todd Souza stalled on track, which been a tough 2 races for Todd Souza, man. He's had mechanical failures early in both of these races, so definitely not what he needed. And the 52 of Ryan Philpott on the very first lap broke an axle. So, and unfortunately for a team of his budget, they probably could have fixed it, but there was just no point in going back out. I mean, for a team on his budget, well, maybe they didn't even have a broken axle. I don't know. I don't even know if they had a backup axle or not. But, unfortunately, that was it for the day. So right out of the gate, we lost the 0, the 52, and the 3 pretty much right out of the gate. It was a struggling day for the other Bobby Hillis entry, the 27 of Bobby himself. He took a spin when he got turned around and then wheel hopped. And unfortunately, it appeared something broke in the car. I had a couple of friends who were helping him out in terms of crew. Apparently a shock mount broke and he wheel hopped. That's what happened. Yeah, he broke a shock mount in the rear and the car wheel hopped. Luckily didn't hit anything, which was the most important thing. The last thing Bobby can afford is damage. So, but and I apologize for the coughing. The last thing that Bobby can afford is crash damage. So, with nothing to gain, I mean, running around Sonoma with a broken shock mount, you're just asking for trouble. So Bobby went ahead and made the decision to park it. So, like right out of the gate, we're losing cars, and that's going to happen, with these West Series races. And unfortunately for Caleb Schrader, another mechanical failure persisted his run at Portland, and even earlier in this race, only 14 laps in for Caleb Schrader. He actually pulled off on the old carousel exit just before, what was it, like turn 5 or turn 6? But yeah, he pulled off on the old carousel exit, so we had lost one of the Jerry Pitts cars. So it was like slowly but surely, lap by lap, we were losing more and more cars. Nick Janitis finally had his big moment of the race. He spun in turn 10, and this time, despite all the times he has spun, finally hit the wall. And I mean hit the wall hard. Heavy left side damage to the car. Still kept going, but heavy left side damage to the car. It appeared that he may have gotten some help from the 30 of Noah Gragson, so I guess we can't really blame this one on himself. But yeah, still sucks for Nick Janitis. But hey, that's the price you pay when you run quarter panel numbers. I do not like the look of quarter panel numbers. I think quarter panels are ugly. So maybe that's just the price you pay for running quarter panel numbers. So, and during that break, we had another quick restart. And the 15, this is when the race kind of started to fall apart for Venerini. The 15 of Brent Cruz, he loses a wheel. Whereas during that run, the 20 of Gio Ruggiero, his car just got slower and slower and slower until eventually his reason for DNF was just listed as mechanical, but you could clearly tell the car was getting slower and slower and slower, as if the engine was either laying down or he had lost a gear and couldn't, shift as quick. So again, we were just, like I said, we were really losing cars at a rapid pace here. The 77 of Dave Smith, he broke a transmission, so he was out. The 20 of Gio Ruggiero had a mechanical issue. He was out. The 41 of Johnny Bordeman had been having suspension issues and shock issues. I think he ran without a sway bar for a brief time. So the car was rolling over like crazy and handling like crap. I mean, there was just a bunch of guys out there having a tough time. Brandon Jones, meanwhile, was able to get back on the lead lap and back up front. Sean Hingorani, he had been able to make his way up into the top 5. Same with Jack Wood. And Isabella Robusto, man, a lot of aggression in that woman. She was up into the kind of the lower parts of the top 10, around 7th or 8th. But a lot of steamers really showing what they got out there. Got to the halfway break, got back going again. And then the 50, Trevor Huddleston, he spun in turn 8, stalled it, couldn't get going. Had another one-lap yellow with Brian Comiskey. Yes, Brian Comiskey. He actually stayed out to try to take the lead and actually led a couple laps. William Sawalich got pushed off track. And this is where the race started to go bad for William Sawalich. Once he got back in traffic, he unfortunately used up his car trying to get back there. By the time Sawalich even got close to the front, he had just destroyed the front of his car, which was kind of funny. But yeah, so we get back going green again. Sawalich, the front nose of his car is destroyed. I don't know what he must have done. He must have rear-ended someone, but the front valence had a huge knock in it. So like it was kind of like shaped like this, and all that air getting under the car. I can only imagine how bad that car handled, but he was still light years ahead of so many cars. I mean, William was absolutely driving the balls off that 18 car. So eventually nearly sheared the hood off. They had so much silver tape on there, you could barely read the hood sponsor. But William was driving it, man. I'll give him that. He was driving that car for everything it had. Unfortunately for Brandon Jones, you don't hear me mentioning much of him because he really had a tough going. Up until later in the race, he finally got a free pass. He had been stuck a lap down the entire race, pretty much. Finally got a free pass late in the game, and he just couldn't crawl his way back through the field quick enough. Unfortunately, there was even a point where we had Noah Gragson in the lead for a couple laps. He was able to get the lead in the 30 car, and honestly, this is when I thought he was going to get the win. I thought Noah was going to get the win, but then he proceeded to just overshoot one of the corners and lose the lead. Kind of shocking. He actually lost 2nd to Tyler Reif, and then Sean Hingorani got past. I think Noah probably got some old rubber and debris on his tires. He couldn't make the corners as hard. So it all went to crap for the 30 team very quickly. But yeah, so we're kind of crawling down through the race. The poor Marco Andretti, though, he was finally having a somewhat decent run. Then he has a flat tire. So he has a flat tire. He's just trying to crawl back. And see here, make sure I have my times right. And right as he's trying to crawl back, Brian Comiskey, one of the great underdog stories of the race, he has a mechanical failure. So we lost one of the good underdog stories of the race, which saved Marco's race. By this point, we'd also lost the 4 of Eric Nascimento. So, like I said, we had lost a lot of cars due to mechanical failures and problems in this race. That was at the time where Trevor Huddleston spun. So, of the 31 cars that had taken the green flag, we only had 20 left. So, definitely a very, very high attrition-filled race. You had David Smith out there, who was actually running the old school ARCA banner from like 2018. So, that's fun. Yeah, I forgot it was actually Dale Quarterly that spun out the 50. Dale was just like, get out of the way. They ran in there side by side and threw the S's on the backstretch, and, well, you just don't do that. So, unfortunately, the 50 got sent there, which you got to feel for them. So we get back going green again. Mayer gets shoved out to a huge lead. Tyler Reif is second. Again, these West Series guys really taking it to the higher series ringers this weekend. Sawalich, again, his car is just battered and destroyed. I mean, like I said, it's probably handling like crap in traffic. But Mayer gets going. It's clear, though, even within the first couple of corners, nobody's going to pass him. Nobody is going to pass Sam Mayer unless he either brakes or he crashes himself. So that was just kind of plain obvious because it was clear Sawalich just did not have the car anymore. He could run lap times, but Sawalich did not have the car to go back up there and pass for the win. So his biggest competition, Mayer, I would say Sam pretty much had the race at this point, but you just kind of never knew. And you could say Sam well had the race in hand. By this point, he had gotten out to about a 5-6 second lead. This was a big 16-lap run. The race had stabilized. Sam had grown his lead to about 5 seconds. Sam had grown his lead to about 5 seconds. And we had some good stories in the top 10. We had Travis McCullough. He had driven his way up into the top 10. Kyle Keller had driven his way up into the top 10. Isabella Robusto was in the top 5. We had a lot of good stories coming down to the end of this race. And wouldn't you know it, one of those classic late race restarts happened. The 50 of Trevor Huddleston again spun in turn 1 and brought out the caution. So, yep, we would have one attempt at a restart, and it would be a green, white, 1-lap run. ARCA has done this a couple of times before, infamous the 2018 race that would never end at Daytona, but luckily this was just one attempt. And I thought all hell was going to break loose. I'm like, here we go. Here we go. This is where all hell breaks loose, and somehow William Sawalich ends up winning the race. Yeah, that's for sure. I'm thinking the 18 is going to somehow win this thing. So we get back going. 23 gets a great jump, but so does the 13. And you could tell Tyler really, really tried to throw it in there, but the 23 had just gotten too much of a gap. Noah Gragson gets turned around, I think in turn 4, turn 5. So his good run is gone, which, I mean, that explains Noah's season pretty much in a nutshell when it comes to NASCAR or ARCA. Him just getting wrecked. William Sawalich, he is flying through the field in a car that is clearly not handling right. Dale Quarterly is managing to hang on to a top 5 finish, actually. Dale was 5th until I think Dale might have gotten wrecked by Isabella Robusto in the last corner. It still wasn't exactly 100% clear what happened, but Dale Shearer was 5th coming into the final turn, and he ended up outside the top 15. So I can only assume that Dale either wheel hopped and wrecked himself, or the 55 of Robusto wrecked him, or someone behind her wrecked him. I can't really imagine what else could have happened, but I just feel for Dale. Also, shout out to the people who noticed Tyler Reif running a Toyota badge on a Ford Mustang nose. Gotta love it. I don't know. I tweeted that out. I said, ARCA moment. A Toyota badge on a Ford Mustang body. Absolutely hilarious. Absolutely fucking hilarious. And that's why I love this series so much. And sorry, guys, if you haven't seen it, for people who just tuned in, I'm a little under the weather, so I'm not as energetic and as upbeat. And I do apologize if I do have to blow my nose or if I take a drink of water. I will try my best to not show that on camera. I just want to have some fun with tonight's show. So, but Sam Mayer cruises to victory. The first win for first ARCA. I believe that is the first ARCA West Series win for him in quite some time. I think he has won an ARCA West Series race before. I'm going to try to check my statistics real quick. Yes, he did win one in 2020. He did win one in 2020. Let's see where that was. That was at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. Okay, so yeah, so this is a second career ARCA West Series win. First one in 4 years. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, first win for Joe Ferree, which is also pretty cool when you think about it. First win for Joe Ferree's team. Second place ended up being Tyler Reif. Again, very strong performance out of him. The Kelly Souza, Todd Souza team is really showing their muscle this year. Sean Ingarani third. Whether you like him or you don't, pretty good performance out of him. William Sawalich with his battered car ended up fourth. Jack Wood with a solid top 5 finish. Isabella Robusto, man, another solid performance out of her in sixth. Eric Johnson Jr. finally putting up a good run in seventh. Brandon Jones, 8th. Kyle Keller, 9th. And Travis McCullough, the guy who got screwed in that G2G deal a couple years ago, came home with a solid top 10 finish. Marco Andretti fell back to 11th. Dale Quarterly ended up 14th. Noah Gragson ended up 16th. Trevor Huddleston down in 18th. And David Smith, the final finisher, in 20th. And obviously, when we went over the DNFs, Brian Comiskey, Eric Nascimento, Brent Cruz, Johnny Bordeman, Gio Rogero, Dave Smith, Caleb Schrader, Bobby Hillis, Todd Souza, Ryan Philpott, and Tony Huffman. Definitely a step up from Portland for sure. A better race overall. I think that's pretty obvious to say. The race was a lot better than Portland. Much more competitive atmosphere. Like I said, the ARCA West race at Sonoma, it's just such a special race. I really wish they would get rid of the Sonoma Xfinity race and just do ARCA West. I feel like it would give that race the spotlight back it deserves. And we could see even more cars show up. But no, I give it a solid rating. I think an honest rating for the race is probably 7 to 8 out of 10. I would call it's not perfect. No, it's not a perfect race, but I think a 7 to 8 rating is fair for this race. The point standings coming out of this race, the championship with Tyler Reif's good run. He kept his points lead, actually extended his points lead by 1. He now leads Sean Hingorani by 11 points as we go into next month's duel in Irwindale. 2 150-lap races at Irwindale. It looks like Sean Hingorani will finish out the year with Jerry Pitts Racing as he does go for the second straight championship. Jack Wood is third, minus 19. William Sawalich, despite not being full-time, but he's ran 3 of the 4 races, is fourth in points, minus 21, which I find kind of funny. Kyle Keller is fifth in points. Trevor Huddleston is 6th. Eric Johnson Jr. is 7th. Isabella Robusto is 8th in points, despite missing a race. Takuma Koga is 9th. Nick Janitis is 10th. Again, we'll get a better look at the point standings after the doubleheader in Irwindale. This is how they are just listed now. So definitely the championship favorites right now are still Tyler Reif, Sean Hingorani, and Jack Wood for sure. So those are probably 3 better championship favorites. And those doubleheaders in Irwindale, man, are going to be a real deciding factors for those championships because coming back from 11-point and 19-point gaps in the West Series, not very easy to do. So I wish them the best of luck. And, yeah, we'll be taking a break from the West Series for a while as they can hopefully get a lot of their stuff fixed. A lot of cars got battered in that one. So, yeah, we'll look forward to the ARCA West Series at Irwindale next month. I believe it's the 3rd and the 4th or the 4th and the 5th. One of those dates. It's around that area. And yeah, for a doubleheader weekend, two races, kind of like what the old Can-Am series used to do with their doubleheader races. So yeah, bear with me 1 second, guys. Just got to blow my nose real quick. All right, we're back. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so Sonoma was fun. Final thoughts on Sonoma. Love the race. Hope it returns every year. The Sonoma West race, in my opinion. In my personal opinion, it's the Crown Jewel West Series race. Not Phoenix, not really anywhere else for me. It's this race is the Crown Jewel race for the West Series for me, at least. It's a fun race, a lot of eyes on this one, and I just wish it would be the only other race there instead of Xfinity and get its spotlight back for sure. So, as we move on from there, we now shift to the main division and the East Division at Iowa Speedway. Yes, my home track. Woohoo! We are back here in Newton, Iowa this weekend, this Friday, actually. A very, very solid field. Biggest entry list at Iowa Speedway in over 5 years, which is something I'm so happy to report because last year in this race, we had a very disappointing car count of only 20 cars. I mean, for the people who watch this show, and we're there for that podcast last year, you guys know how disappointed we were. Only 20 cars when it looked like at the beginning of the year we were going to get about 25 to maybe 26. Pretty solid list. And to only get 20 was a real Debbie Downer. And frankly, you could kind of say it hurt the race. It really wasn't the best Iowa race. We had a thrilling finish with Luke Fenhouse stealing another win, William Sawalich, on the final restart. But yeah, to go from 20 cars last year to 26 this year is a big boost for the series, especially when you consider that in last year's race, we had 4 starting parks. The 10, the 98, the 12, and the 01 were all starting parks last year. Only 16 cars went the distance. And in this year's race, we have at least about 23, 24 that are going to go the distance. So it's definitely an improvement. We're going to go over the entry list as follows, so bear with me as I read off all the entrants. We start off our entry list with the usual ones of the Siegel entries, the 2 of Andres Perez de Lara, the 6 of LeVar Scott. Christopher Tate, who was supposed to run for Andy Hillenberg at Charlotte, has his race moved to Iowa in the 10. Zachary Tinkle, of course, full-time East entry in the 11. Ryan Roulette in the 12. Chris Wright in the 15. Marco Andretti in the 17. William Sawalich in the 18. Gio Ruggiero in the 20. Amber Balkin in the 22. West Des Moines, Iowa native Mason Mitchell will be back running for Joe Ferree in the 23. Tony Breidinger with a new sponsor, Rudebush Development, will be on the 25. Connor Zilisch will be back, of course, the current East Series points leader. Rita Goulet in the 31, Christian Rose in the 32, Greg Van Alst in the 35, D.L. Wilson, another East Series regular, in the 39, Brad Smith in the 48, Gus Dean in the 55, Andy Jankowiak in the 73. Presley Sora is back, this time driving the 86 for Alex Club. Presley is actually a PR man for Club and Fast Track Racing. And I think another team. I don't remember the third team off the top of my head, but he does PR for Club and for Fast Track. So it's not shocking to see him in this ride. Cody Dennison. Cody actually announced via his Twitter, was it yesterday or a couple days ago, either yesterday or a couple days ago, that he is no longer driving for Peterson and he is no longer driving for Fast Track. He will run the remainder of the East Series and the main division schedule for Costner, Caleb Costner's team in the 93, which is definitely a big financial boost for the team after the whole Weaver situation. Sorry, I popped my back there. After the whole Weaver situation kind of went belly up. So a big deal for Cody Dennison. Definitely an upgrade in equipment. I love Andy's guys. I do, trust me. But it's an upgrade in equipment, you could say. At least what Cody says it is. And no disrespect there, obviously. I'm just saying, in Cody's world, it's an upgrade in equipment, which it might be. I love Caleb Costner. I love Andy Hillenberg. They kind of run about the same, so it's kind of hard to say which one is kind of an upgrade. I mean, I think on some tracks Andy's better than Caleb, and some tracks Caleb's better than Andy. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. But obviously, I wish both parties nothing but the best. And I'll see Andy and the guys this weekend, and I'll see Cody this weekend, and hopefully, like I said, we can all catch up and have fun. But yeah, definitely gonna be interesting to see how Cody does in the 93. Definitely think though, with how good he has done in Wayne's stuff and how good he has done in Andy's stuff, I would not rule him out for a top 10 finish. They will have an Ilmore, good engine this weekend, a good setup. I would not count Cody out of a top 10 finish. I really would not. No. The same thing for the Andy cars. I think a lot of the Andy Hillenberg cars could contend for top 15s, top 10s too. We got good old Dale Shear. Good to see that Dale's back is all healed up and he'll be back in the car. Michael Maples in the 99, Alex Club in the 03, and Kevin Hinkle in the 06. So that is our 26 entries for Iowa Speedway. You might have recognized though that my name is not on the entry list, and kind of sucks. So kind of a short story time. I had planned to run this race pretty much since last year. I had acquired my ARCA license over the off season. Wanted to do the Daytona test, just had no time. Last minute. And I had saved up money. I had saved up a lot of money. Tried searching for sponsors. It was just not easy, man. I got a real reality check. I admit it. I got a real reality check about how tough the sponsor game is in today's market in NASCAR. It's all about the money, man. It's, the talent. Doesn't matter how much talent you got. If you don't have the dollar, you ain't doing anything. The Kimmel deal at Salem cost me $6,000. I'll just be upfront with that. The Kimmel deal and the Salem Supercar deal, that costed me $6,000. Racing is expensive, man, and it can rip your heart out. And, I thought I had a deal in place. We had talked at Kansas. We had talked over the phone many times. And it was going to be, I was supposed to be driving by my knowledge, the 0 entry for Peterson Motorsports at Iowa. But unfortunately, the black Ford, the car in question, was wrecked heavily at Charlotte in the crash with the Amber Balkan wrecked the 06. And then unfortunately, the 31 had nowhere to go. 31 had nowhere to go, plowed into the 06, wasn't severely damaged, just needed some new rear bracing, new panels, and just a little bit of work to the chassis. Nothing overly serious, but enough damage to the point where it just wasn't going to happen. And then I'm like, well, Cody was out of the 06. Cody had told me over the weekend that he was ending his deal with Peterson and would be going to a new team. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that might open up the 06 for me. Well, then I come to find out that, Kevin Hinkle came into the picture, and obviously in the financial game, and I completely get this. This is no bashing. I love Kevin, love Wayne. They're good people. They've always been good to me. I get it. It's the racing business. And when someone obviously, Kevin is more trusted, he's driven Wayne's stuff, and he does bring a little bit more money. I understand Peterson Motorsports' decision to go with him and to not bring a second car for me. Obviously, I understand that. The black Ford is still being worked on. It's not quite ready from what Wayne said. They got the body panels on, but it's not, like the skew that people talk about, this whole skew thing, and getting the panels painted and getting everything just matched up where it was before. It takes time. It's not as easy to do on a team like Peterson, because Wayne's 86 years old, and he only has a handful of guys that can really help him. So I respect Peterson Motorsports' decision to put Kevin in the car. I respect Peterson Motorsports' decision to I respect Peterson Motorsports' decision to not bring a second car, but I'd be lying to you guys if I said I wasn't massively disappointed. I'd be really lying to you guys if I wasn't massively disappointed that this is not happening, because I worked hard. I worked really hard for this. 4 or 5 months been working on this, but I hope to be in the car at some point this year. It's just ironic that the 1 year that I want to do this, that I decided to go ARCA racing. Everybody wants to do it. I mean, Andy Hillenberg is more full than ever when it comes to his rides. And Peterson's getting calls from everyone. So it's like, man, is it me? Am I the one, giving the ARCA all the hype? I don't know. But man, so many people want to do ARCA all of a sudden. It's funny. And it's the series that never dies. And I love it. I love this series to death, but just disappointment, man. It's my home track, and I just wish I could have been in the field this weekend, even if it was for a starting park. I wished I could have been in the field for this weekend's race. But we're working on some stuff, and I'm hoping I can announce some stuff at a later date. So, but I thought I would just go into a short story and tell you guys basically that's just the honest truth of what happened. It's no bashing, not at all. I love Kevin. I love Wayne. They're good friends of mine, and they'll continue to be good friends of mine. I get it. It's the racing business. That's what I tweeted out, man, in my tweet a couple of days ago, saying the racing business can really kick you in the gut. So got a real reality check, folks, and disappointed, but I understand. And I will still be there helping out Brad Smith on the 48 team as well. So, but yeah, so that's our entry list. 26 cars. Like I said, the biggest entry list, just put into terms. Iowa Speedway's ARCA races were getting quite sad. 2017 had 26 cars. So this is the biggest field since 2017. Let that sink in. Because in 2018, we had 23. 2019, we had 19. 2020, we had 21. 2021, we had 23. 2022, we had 23. And 2023, we had 20. So put that into perspective. The biggest entry list since 2016. And in the 2016 race, which Dalton Sargent won, by the way, remember him? In 2017, we actually only had 25 start. So realistically, this is actually the biggest field. This is actually the biggest field since 2016. when you really think about it. So ARCA is definitely on the rise. It's just if only we had more competitive cars at front, that would help. As for a race winners pick, we'll go over the point standings in a second. Race winners pick, think I'm going to go easy. I'm going to take William Sawalich, just an easy pick. We're going to go easy pick tonight with William Sawalich winning. And my underdog pick, I think we're going to go with we'll go with Zilisch. I think a top car is going to easily win this weekend's race. But I think Connor's going to show him something with a proper practice time. Even though Williams' team has a lot of notes here, I think Connor might give them a run for their money. As for starting parks in the field, right now it is unclear whether the 48 team is going the distance or not. I can't tell you guys off the top of my head. Been told that the 86 is going to be a starting park. Unclear if Dale Scheer is running the whole race or not. I would assume if he's making the trip all the way out here, he probably is going to try to attempt the whole race. None of Andy's cars are going to be starting parking. So to my knowledge, I think the only starting park in the field might be the 86. Other than that, I think everybody else in the field will probably be a full race. So if you think about that, the 48 and the 86 might be the only two starting parks in the field, which would give us 24 full race cars, which is just such a bonus compared to fields we've gotten in the past. So, oh, God. Yeah, it's going to be fun this weekend. It's going to be an early start, too. I think we're starting at like 6 a.m., so it's going to be a long day on Friday. But I'm happy to be back in the garage with all my friends. It's going to be great to see Andy Hillenberg again. It's always nice in the ARCA garage area when Brad's parked right next to Andy Hillenberg. So, if we need anything to eat, we can just go in there and eat whatever Andy's got. It helps to have great friends in the business, man. So I love those guys to death. They know I do. They know I do. Sometimes I say stuff on this show that the fast track guys don't like. But at the end of the day, we're all friends for life. I love the John, Andy, Zachary. I love them all. Mike, I think Mike's the crew chief on the 99 car. We're all good friends. I mean, sometimes we bicker at each other, but we're all good friends in the end, and I will always treasure that. So the standings for the main series look like this. That's the East standings. Sorry, to pull up the main standings. Right now, Andres Perez de Lara leads the main series standings by a comfortable margin over Greg Van Alst. 16 points over Greg Van Alst in second. Amber Balkin is somehow third in the points. I have no idea how, but she is. 33 points behind in third. LeVar Scott, unfortunately for LeVar Scott, I just think it's a little too far behind. 37 points. Now, we still have 14 races to go, and anything can happen, but 37-point gap is hard to make up this quick. So we'll just have to see there. Chris Wright, again, he's done okay the last couple of races, but I fear he's too far back as well. Fifth, 39 points back. Christian Rose, 47 points back. Unfortunately, I'd have to eliminate him from the championship. Same with Andy J. Same with Tony Breidinger, Maples, Club, and, of course, Dennison, who are all the other remaining full-time drivers. And Brad, he's just farther down the line. But, in terms of that, I think Andres Perez de Lara just needs to have another comfortable weekend. I think he's definitely the championship favorite right now. If he can just keep doing what he's doing, I don't see how Andres loses the championship, in my personal opinion. He's had a very, very solid season. But hopefully we can get a winner in the main division for full-time drivers. I do think Andres or LeVar will pull out a win. Maybe even Christian Rose or Chris Wright will pull out a win somewhere. I could see Chris Wright running the road course race at Mid-Ohio coming up for sure. But I do think a full-time main series driver will win a race this year before all is said and done. The East Series standings, as this is an East Series combo race, the remaining of the season are East Series combo races. Connor Zilisch leads the points. Leads the points by 12 points over William Sawalich and 20 points over Gio Ruggiero. Of course, Gio getting that points penalty post Flat Rock. And I'll say this, man, in the East Series, with how close these points are, the 28, the 18, and the 20 are going to run each other like crap in the next four races coming up, because These teams are high-budget teams. They pay a lot of money for these East Series championships. They want to win it. So for Connor, for William, and Gio, they are going to be pushing hard. So that's why I think we're actually going to be looking at a pretty good race this weekend between these three level teams. Obviously, Venerini and Sawalich, the two big guns in Toyota, and Chevrolet. Good to see Chevrolet pumping in a lot of money into their ARCA program as well. So, but like I said, right now, Connor Zilisch looking like the championship favorite too. So, you think Mason Mitchell will have a chance at Iowa? You never know. You never know. Mason might have a chance at Iowa, but I don't think the Joe Ferree team, Mason, it's just been so long since Mason's been there, and they repaved the track. So Mason, it's not going to be the same track that he raced on. So I don't know. I hope Mason runs well. And, I never know. He could squeak out a random win, which would be awesome. But I personally don't see it happening. But to any and all people who are going to be in Iowa this weekend, hope to run into you all. I'm not hard to find. So if you see me in the ARCA garage, come say hi. Love to see y'all. Y'all kind of cheer on the 48 car as usual. And, hopefully we will be in a car at some point this year, man. It's just frustrating. That's all I can say. So sorry about tonight's lack of excitement. Like I said, I've been under the weather, but wanted to get a podcast out for you guys anyway. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Turn on that bell for notifications so you guys never miss a podcast when we go live. And yeah, we will see we'll see you guys all next week. Sorry, I'm really out of it tonight, but I give you all the goodbye salute. See y'all better, guys. Have a good one and take care. So goodbye, guys, and we'll see y'all next week. Colby Evans signing off.